If we haven't met before, I'm Amy Van Slambrook. I'm a trauma and relationship psychotherapist and coach, and I am so glad to be here because I just thought, let's just chat a little bit about some of the questions that you might be having that are coming up, or some of the areas that you might feel uncertain about or uneasy about. I have dealt with a lot of change and a lot of women just like you who have wanted to change their lives, and all kinds of things come up in the process of doing that, even if the change is something that you're wanting to see. One of the questions that you might be having is, well, how do I find the money for this Elevate program? It looks great. I really, really think it's amazing. And that isn't about me. It's about what I was able to create for you, that God really inspired me to create. But you might be thinking, I don't have enough money. And the money thing is always hard. I'll be honest, it is something that comes up for almost everybody, and it always comes up for me. Because the truth is, it's not like you're sitting around with a bunch of money laying there for you to spend it on, saying, oh, I don't know what I'm going to spend this money on. Oh, I found this program. No, usually there is sacrifice involved. Whenever we want change, there's a risk that's involved. And often what we get caught up in, and part of what's actually keeping you stuck, is that you're only able to see a certain number of finite resources, and you look around at what you can see, and it doesn't look like there's enough. A lot of times what goes along with trauma is a poverty mindset or a scarcity mindset, because we're used to being in fight or flight. And the truth is that that isn't really reality. First of all, God has access to resources that you don't even see. And sometimes it takes us stepping out and really taking a stand for believing in ourselves, believing in our potential, believing in where we know we're created for and what is about to happen in our lives. And then the provision comes in. There's a great quote that says, God always provides provision for the vision. And often that means us taking a step first and saying, I believe in myself. Because what is it really costing you in terms of not investing in yourself? What is it costing you to wait for the money to come in before you do it, or to have everything straight and to be restrictive for yourself financially? I know that for me, I've really paid a huge price at times for that, living in restriction, thinking, this fight or flight is really the truth. And so I've got to just wait and save, and maybe next time, and maybe I'll have the money at this point in time. But when I've really gone all in and I've invested in things, even though it was scary, God always provided. One of the questions to ask yourself is, what is the worst thing that can happen if I invest in this? Because when we go there, we can really handle just about whatever happens. And it's still me on the other end of this program. You're not going to suddenly get a stranger, and I am a very loving person who loves to help you learn to be resourceful and work out solutions that are creative. It's still me on the other end of this. In my own life, I invested in a lot of things, including investing in my health, and taking a chance on one of the greatest clinics in the world and hoping that they could help me, even though it was a big investment for me financially. And I didn't know where all of that was going to come from. I just knew that God was going to provide for that. And I just pressed through the fear. And of course, I kept thinking of a million reasons to put it off, or to wait, or to save longer, or whatever it was. But I also knew that the price I was paying every day for my health that wasn't in good shape was way too high. And, that often is where we have to just step out in faith and understand that we're just required to show our faith. We're just required to take that first step. And often then the rest of it comes into fruition. We often think of the cost, but what is the cost that you're paying already? What is the cost that you are paying on a daily basis by staying where you are? What do you truly have to lose? And I want to remind you that So many people in your life have counted on you. They've believed in you. They've relied on you, probably a little bit too much. And the truth is, you've always come through. You've always figured out a way. Don't you think it may be time for you to take that chance on yourself? To say, I can be there for all of me and I can go in for me. And I know that I can make this happen. And I can use my voice and say, Amy, help me work this out because I really want to do this program, and help me work out the money piece because I'm not going to let that stand in my way. And I am very creative when it comes to that piece of it. Okay. So I just want to remind you that the money thing doesn't necessarily, that resistance doesn't necessarily mean that it's truth. And there are all kinds of things that we can work out and help you to be resourceful. One of my favorite exercises is to do 50 ways to find the money. If you sat down and set your timer for 10 or 15 minutes, and if you had to, by the end of the week, come up with $5,000 to help a family member who needed that for health reasons, or maybe you needed it for health reasons, where are you going to find that money? Think of everything that comes to mind and let yourself be creative. And it's amazing how empowering this is. My coach did that with me. She's done it with all kinds of people, and it really helps you open your mind and broaden your mind. And also, if you're someone who is a person of faith, I want to encourage you to pray about it, because often that is really where the biggest breakthrough has come forward for me, and I know that it has taken a risk on my part and discomfort on my part, but it has always paid off in the end. The second question that might be coming up is, oh, this feels like a lot. I just have so much else going on. I mean, maybe this is just too much content. I have enough on my plate already. And yet what you've got on your plate already isn't necessarily getting you the results that you want. And so when we want different results, we have to do different things. And the truth is, when we're used to living on very little, and when in terms of our self-nourishment or our self-growth, anything that is a full meal is going to look like way too much. The truth is, our capacity expands when we start to really take that step forward. You get to regulate how much of this you take in. You get to monitor it. It's not heavy. It's going to allow you to have traction in the moment, and you can pace yourself. I'm certainly not going to force feed a lot of content on you. I'm really aware of making this manageable so that with time you're able to take on more and more, but we're not going to put everything in at you all at once, and we're certainly not going to force it on you. You have choice every step of the way in this. You get to choose, and you get to be in joy and have fun in the process of this. It's about listening to some of these great speakers. It's about doing the work that you want to do individually, and then it's about getting support from other women in the program. And we get to choose along the way. Nobody takes that over. You're not going to lose control. Whenever I was starting a new semester in graduate school, it always felt like too much. It was, oh my gosh, this is just too overwhelming. How am I going to take this all in? I don't know. This is so much to learn. And yet with each semester, my capacity for learning, my capacity for taking in information, and my capacity for choosing what was relevant for me and what wasn't, all grew. It's just, again, pushing through that resistance and thinking for yourself in the future and what your future self would decide, rather than basing it on just what you know today. Because if you just stayed here, you're just going to get the same results. The other issue, time, right? Is there ever enough time? I don't know that I ever feel like I have way too much time on my hands. I always think life is too short. And I think that, that serves me well, because I just want to soak in as much of life as I can. And the truth is, it's hard always to think about adding one more thing in. right? We all have more than enough on our plates. And yet time expands and we can fill it with the things that are really important to us if we take control of our time. There are replays of these things for a reason, because life comes up, and while being on live is always best because you absorb the most content, that way it's also something that you can really adapt to your life and your schedule. That's the way I've constructed it. And it's 3 hours over 30 days. That's like maybe 10 minutes. When you think about 3 hours, we can easily spend that on scrolling our IG feed, right? We can easily spend that in a clubhouse room, or we can easily spend that zoning out somewhere. And why not spend that really helping you elevate your life and get to a new place? Because I cannot imagine you being a part of this program and not seeing massive growth and improvement in your life. It just fills me with so much happiness when I think about your face at the end of this program. And again, you get to choose along the way. So while it will never seem like you have enough time laying there, just like there's not enough money just laying there waiting to be invested, you do get to create that. And that's about taking control of our schedule and our calendar and allocating it, because you will fit so much more in your life if you actually take control and decide how you are going to plan your life, plan your days, and plan your weeks. The other thing that's coming up, because I made some notes about things that I was hearing and things that I was sensing, is that I'll just wait for next time. You know, I'm just not quite ready yet. I'll just wait, because you know I'm sure that it'll feel better in the future, or I won't have X, Y, and Z to contend with. This may not be the right time for you. Only you can know that. And there is a right and wrong time to do things. God's timing really is perfect, and he shows you that. But if you stayed with me every day for the detox, you know, there's a part of you that is so ready to make this change. There is a part of you that really, really wants things to be different. And I can sense that in you. And the truth is, you know, if you wait, the program will not be offered at this same price point again. There's a reason that you felt this tug now. And if you wait, it's also waiting and having exactly the same results as you're having right now. It doesn't mean that there aren't other things in your life to help you change. I never would be that presumptuous. And yet there's a reason you've felt drawn to this right now. You know, there are no accidents, there are no coincidences, I don't believe. And we've connected at this time for a reason. You know, and so I just want to encourage you to explore the idea of how would this feel if you let this pass you by and this opportunity never came up again? Would you feel that pang of regret? What's the worst that can happen if you actually go for it? That's often a powerful question, because somehow we build up this fear, but we don't really explore, well, what's the worst that can happen? And could I handle that if that happens? You know, the price I paid for waiting for someday, for thinking, well, it'll happen eventually. It'll always be there. I'll just get to that eventually when the time feels more right. You know, it cost me putting off being in the career that I knew was my calling, and maybe missing out on helping people. It cost me, you know, being able to have the family that I wanted when I wanted. It cost me so much in my life to wait, to put it off for someday. Now there's no someday in my life going on. I am all about now, and now embracing love and family and going after every one of my passions and the dream that God put in my heart. But that was because that urgency is because I lived on the sidelines for so long, and I watched everybody else have the life that I knew I wanted someday. But I thought, well, things will feel different, you know, when it's the right time. I won't want to wait, or it'll feel like somehow these doors magically open and I'm welcomed in. And it always involves risk and sacrifice and just pressing through that resistance. So pay attention to, why did we connect at this time? And why was this program sounding so good to you? Because I really believe that it's about honoring that pull within your heart. Because again, God always provides. God has solutions that we can never see, that He can work out in the background. And the last thing that might be coming up for you is, what if this doesn't work? What if it's just another program that I invest in and I don't really go for it. I don't attend. I just let it lie on the shelf and I'm just kind of spending the money and not getting any return. And I want to encourage you. I get that. You know, I've certainly invested in lots of programs that are on my shelf or that I didn't go all in on, but that was about me choosing that. And when I saw that the result I wanted badly enough, I go all in, and I get to choose. You get to choose how much you go all in, and it's all about you taking a stand for yourself in this investment. It's about really letting others pour into you, and it's about receiving. It's about believing in yourself, because courage comes before confidence. Confidence only comes after we get competent. And the only way we can do that is just one step at a time. You don't have to think about the whole program. Just think about 1 hour this week, and 1 hour next week, and 1 hour the following week. That's it. Just take it one step at a time and let yourself experience success along the way. And remember that resistance is always going to come up. That doesn't mean it's the truth. The truth is, you have followed through on so much of your life, and you have made it through every difficult, traumatic incident in your life with 100% success rate, because you're sitting before me right now. And so there's a really, really good chance that you're going to get a ton of value, certainly lots more than what you're paying in dollars, that's going to last you a lifetime. So I just want to encourage you, reach out to me. We can talk this through together. It isn't about pressuring you. I am more committed to your vision and to you making that happen in your life than you buying this particular program or the other thing. I just want you to know that this is a vehicle that I believe God really allowed me to create to help you get there. And I believe in you so much. I couldn't not want to welcome you into this so that I can just get to pour into you. This is all about me loving you. So I look forward to hearing from you. I hope this was really, really helpful. If you have any other questions, please message me back. And I really look forward to hearing from you. Take care.